Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome to Fast Money Football. It's Albert Vartanian here, joined by James Sharman. As always, on a Friday, let's start off with some news and notes and a very interesting story, to say the least. Mino Raiola, European soccer super agent. He represents the likes of Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Paul Pogba, Matthias de Ligt, Erling Haaland, all the superstars in world football. But the story isn't about them. It's about him. It was reported that he died on Thursday from a lung illness. However, those reports were false, and Raiola took to Twitter to release a statement. He said, current health status, for the ones wondering, pissed off, second time in 4 months, they kill me. He was talking about the journalist. James, this is a strange one. What do you make of this story?
I have no idea. It's really odd. Apparently, he is very sick. He's in intensive care in hospital with this mystery illness. And as he was a few months ago when people were saying that he was on the, the boundaries of death, that's what we thought, right? But it hasn't happened. He's alive right now, as far as we know anyway. But it's just so odd. When I first heard it, I thought, Mino Raiola is, the super agent, probably the biggest guy out there, him and Jorge Mendes. Is this a publicity stunt? Is it a way to get his guys back in the news? Because Erling Haaland's moving this summer somewhere. Paul Pogba is moving somewhere this summer. Probably the two biggest transfers, likely maybe Mbappe as well, but he's not one of his clients. So I wondered that, but that's pretty cynical. I think it's tough to make light of it because the guy is very, very sick. And as controversial as he is, and people have their opinions about him and what agents of his ilk are doing to the game, you don't want to see a guy, this sick, and you don't want to see a guy die, obviously. But yeah, really odd. It's like the agents are becoming, in some ways, bigger names than the players, which I think is a real problem.
Yeah, and he's making millions upon millions. Like I mentioned, European super agent. I want your take from the other side of this, the journalistic side, because obviously a lot of people want to be first to stories and they want to get it out as soon as possible. And a lot of times they sacrifice knowing the actual facts of actually what's going on. They want to just be first on Twitter or whatever social media platform they're going to use. So from that side, how do you see it?
Yeah, it's pretty sad, isn't it? We see it all the time. I remember in the hockey parlance, I think Pat Burns was killed off once upon a time, and he wasn't dead. He obviously the late Pat Burns now. It's really poor because it's all about getting that report out there first. And I don't know if that's even important nowadays with the way social media is, the way journalism is. Just because you break a story, before you know it, everyone's got that same story and people forget about who broke it to begin with. Double check your sources. Simple as that. Well, when I first heard this, I sent a couple of texts to some friends saying, wow, did you see this? And then I made a point of not going on social media and tweeting about it. Let's just double check this a little bit. And then thankfully, within a few minutes, there's some reports coming down. It's not true. You got to be careful. But these guys, these journalists, some of them are so competitive. They must be the first guy. I just don't think it's important. It's what you do with the news. That's what's important without being necessarily the first person. So get your sources right. And hey, listen, again, I wouldn't put it past Mino Raiola to leak some stuff to certain journalists here to get his name out there. But like I said, it's a little bit early to say that given the guy is clearly not in good shape.
No, and that says everything about the guy, the fact that people are even thinking that this could be some sort of publicity stunt, right? But hopefully he's okay. We wish him nothing but the best. Some news that is true and confirmed by the source. Jurgen Klopp, James, has signed a contract extension with Liverpool that will keep him at the club until 2026. A quick look at his resume with Liverpool: Champions League, Club World Cup, Super Cup, Premier League, Carabao Cup. James, he's done it all with Liverpool. Why do you think he decided to stay?
Yeah, well, I mean, his press conference, his interview was great yesterday. He says, I did it because we're in the middle of something really special right now. And he sees this going beyond the next couple of years. He's signed through next season. This takes him through 2026. So that would put him second in longevity at Liverpool behind the great Bill Shankly, which is incredible. But he thinks that they're just in the middle of something right now. They're not even at the end of it, the beginning. He can't leave the team right now. He loves it. Plus, he mentioned his wife loves where they live as well. Yeah. And that has a factor. It really does. That's partly why I think Rafa Benitez took the Everton job, actually. His family love Merseyside. So I think it's a huge moment for this club. I thought he could be leaving. The speculation was he was going to leave, take some time off, before deciding his next move after his contract expires in a couple of years' time. So this is just so important and pleasantly surprising. Even Pep Guardiola in his press conference this morning, he goes, it's great news for Liverpool, obviously. It's great news for the Premier League. And it really is. This guy is so charismatic. His success is unparalleled in recent times at that club. But the job isn't finished yet, right? Like we said before, Albert, they could finish this season with a one Carabao Cup in the trophy cabinet, which isn't good enough. Or it could be everything, right? So it's a great way to pump that team's tires right now at a really important time of the season. And I think this is very strategic from Klopp.
Mm-hmm.
Announcing it now when the biggest games of the year are coming up for this team. A time when the team could be flagging a little bit, could be fatiguing a little bit, given how many football games they're playing. I think it's really clever that he's announcing it now to really push that team a little bit further because the players love him.
Yeah. This could be a dynasty, actually, depending on what happens at the end of the season. But with Pep Guardiola leaving, maybe in the next couple of seasons, Liverpool are going to shoot right to the top because really his main rival in the Premier League has been Pep. If Pep leaves at the moment, I think it's Liverpool and Klopp at the top for quite some time.
Yeah, if Pep leaves, I mean, again, it wouldn't surprise me if he surprises us all. And that makes sense. It won't surprise me if he surprises me. That makes no sense whatsoever. You know what I'm saying?
I knew exactly what you were saying.
What's available out there for him? You know, is the job done there? Are they in the middle of something special as well? Absolutely, right? But, you know, with their finances, if say Pep leaves, they could pick and choose pretty much who's going to come in there, right? Give or take. I mean, it's a really a great job for anyone to have at Man City. But you're right. The next guy, whoever it is, isn't Pep Guardiola. But obviously, that would be a shame. I think this Klopp v Pep thing's really fun to watch right now. They seem to really respect each other and like each other. So it's not quite the same as Wenger against Ferguson or Mourinho against Wenger or Mourinho against Ferguson, which had that real nastiness and edge to it. We haven't got that. But at the same time, it's fun to watch because they both really, I think, embrace the best part of the game and the way their teams demonstrate that.
More good news coming out of Liverpool. Forward Mohamed Salah, he's named Football Writers Association Men's Footballer of the Year, James. 22 goals, 13 assists in just 31 Premier League games. Just behind him was Kevin De Bruyne in voting. You think the right guy won the award?
I think at this point, yeah, it's actually a really important award there. That's the Football Writers Award. So it's quite frankly, with respect to captains of teams and coaches, no one watches more football than these guys. Right. So they see every game pretty much. And I think at this point in this season, Mo Salah is the right choice. Now, I don't know why they hand it out this early. You know, you still have some really big games left. And Kevin De Bruyne is right on his heels right now. Yeah. And a great end to the season that comes with trophies for De Bruyne might edge him past it. But at this point, listen, De Bruyne, people forget, had a pretty slow start, had injuries, has been just lights out in recent months, of course. You know, and had he won this award, I wouldn't have an issue with it. But Mo Salah has been, I think, the face of the league the last year. He's been incredible. Had a little slump maybe in recent weeks, but has bounced back really well the last couple of weeks. So, yeah, I'm fine with it. Again, some more, you know, a little bit of an energy injection for Liverpool.
What I find fascinating about Salah, even though he has, you know, he's dipped in the second half of the season just a little bit, Klopp still goes with him. He keeps him in the 11. I think that says a lot about Klopp's management and says a lot about Salah. And I'm sure that helps the players as well think, listen, if I run out a bit of form, I'm not going to get dropped right away. Or maybe that's just Salah, but I feel like that gives the players a boost.
I agree with you because, I mean, a lot of managers would have dropped him, you know, given that he hadn't scored in 5 or 6 games. And you have some real depth there up front. I mean, we discussed before, Divock Origi is dying for a game, right? But, yeah, I love the loyalty that he shows to Salah. And he's the kind of guy that must play each week. It's incredible that he plays so much, given this season they're playing it'd be over 60 games again. And he demands to play every match. He's rarely hurt. He played in the African Cup of Nations, of course, got to the final there, had a qualifying campaign for the World Cup, you know, got to the playoff final there as well. So he's played so much football, but he's so healthy. It's the fitness of that guy is just incredible. And then I think when they do finally sign him, if they do, his age is going to be a little bit inconsequential because he is a modern footballer. He's approaching his 30s now, but he'll be playing like Ronaldo, I think, till he's in his mid-30s. But yeah, it's amazing what he plays. And I guess there's no one better on that right side of the Liverpool attack right now. So that's the reason why Klopp relies on him.
Yeah, and he's got a great story to tell as well. I mean, this is a guy who was, basically kicked out of Chelsea because he wasn't good enough under Mourinho. Had some success in Italy at Roma and Fiorentina, now comes to Liverpool and is now known as one of the best players in the world. Great story. From one German manager, Jurgen Klopp, to another, Ralf Rangnick has been appointed Austria national team manager, James, with the Manchester United interim boss to continue as a consultant to the club. How does this work?
Could it be any other way? I mean, I know he's a consultant, and what does that mean? How busy will he be day to day? I get it. But again, optically, it doesn't look good in the club because clearly he's going to be focused on the Austria job. And now international management, it isn't, again, you got a lot of downtime, but you have to watch a lot of football still. You got to watch your players around the world. So how much time will he have to watch United play? Maybe he can do both because they want to bring in younger players for the future at United. So maybe he can do both. He can scout out his players around the world for Austria while also keeping an eye on the young players coming through those matches and those teams, right? But I don't know. I mean, you want guys, it's just, again, to me, it looks Bush League again. You got a guy that's not fully committed to the cause there. And I don't blame Rangnick at all. I don't blame him at all. I can see that consultancy ending in 2 years' time and he jetting off and never coming back. So I don't blame Rangnick, but it just oozes Bush League status, doesn't it? You got a guy that was apparently going to be part of the solution who now isn't even going to be committed to the cause. And that's a real issue.
Yeah, it really is. Rangnick has won just 10 of 26 matches in charge of the club. Not all his fault, I will say. United drawing Chelsea yesterday, 5 back of Arsenal, 3 back of Spurs. Both have 2 games in hand. I think that's it for United in their chase for Champions League. Agent.
Yeah, 100%. They're not going to get top 4 now. There's no doubt about it. And even in the press conference on Friday morning, Rangnick's talking about recruitment and who to go for, and how the lack of Champions League football will be a problem. And that's why they've got to aim for younger players who can grow with the club. So he's acknowledging it. That ain't going to happen now. It's between the 2 London clubs, obviously. And wow, what a gong show of a season it's been for United.
Yeah, and now I think Rangnick was one who came out and said he thinks the players should vote on who the captain should be of the team. But they already have a captain, Harry Maguire. So if they keep him and strip him, players decide to go with someone else. That's a horrible start to the next season.
You want those players to vote for a captain? Those players in that culture again? So it's one thing for Liverpool or Man City, a tight group, or even a team lower down in division, but a tight group who play for the manager and like each other. It's one thing to say that they're going to vote for a captain. I don't mind that at all. But that group of quitters, my God, who are they going to pick? It's going to be Ronaldo, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
Right? We know that. And I mean, I don't know. Just it's poor old Sir Alex Ferguson. Never thought I'd say that, but he must be reading these stories every day and being close to that club and thinking, man, what happened? Why did I leave when I did? Because it's been an absolute disaster ever since.
When I see him in the stands of those games, I'm like, why do you do this to yourself? No. Just stay home. I just stay home. But back to that dressing room, it's a disaster when Paul Scholes is on national television telling everybody, hey, I don't think Jesse Lingard would mind if I told you guys this, but he's messaging me saying that the dressing room is a disaster at the moment. Like, come on.
What do you think Lingard texted Scholes after that comment?
No kidding.
Obviously, Lingard's got to want out. He's one of the guys that has to leave that club. He might be part of the problem. Who knows? But, Paul Scholes doesn't hold it back, right? He never did on the field as a player. And as a pundit now, he's so monotone. He seems, when he talks, he's so, he sounds boring. But then you listen to what he says, wow, Scholes, he doesn't care who he's going to offend here. I quite enjoy him. And listen, fair enough. He's a player that was at the greatest United teams of all time. Certainly in the greatest midfields of all time. One of the greatest Premier League players of all time. And he's seeing his club is there from day one. Just fall apart, and it must drive him crazy because one thing about those United teams when he played in, you could criticize them for various things. They were great teams, but they were a team of characters and a team of guys that would not accept second best. I could imagine a Scholes or Roy Keane, even a Beckham in that room right now. The room would be different. I guarantee you. They wouldn't allow that to happen.
Yeah, this would be a completely different Manchester United team. But as you mentioned, probably out of the Champions League race. But we got football this weekend. Premier League is back. Let's start off with Newcastle, Liverpool. I got attack and defend. I got a couple of bets for you. I'm going to throw this one at you to start. This is the early game on Saturday, which scheduling for Liverpool games, pretty tough. They play midweek. Yeah. Then they get to Saturday morning. Well, Saturday early afternoon fixture. in the Premier League, and then they're back midweek once again in the Champions League. So tough turnaround for them, but they're playing at Newcastle, St. James's Park. I think there's going to be a little bump in the road for either Manchester City or Liverpool this weekend. I think Liverpool win this game, but I can't back them at minus 250. Instead, I think Newcastle +1, +130 is the way to go. As long as they don't lose by more than a goal, you win your money back. So that's not a bad bet.
All right, I'm going to make a mistake here. I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to attack this one. And usually when I do this, I get it wrong. I fully admit it. I like the +130. I get it. But I look at this Newcastle team and what they've done. It's been incredible, right? They were winless in the first 11 games. In comes Eddie Howe. Since then, 11 wins in 23 games. The 6th most points in the league since he arrived. That's incredible. They've turned it around. The defense is so much better now as well. That being said, they've had a really soft schedule. All right. I mean, I don't want to listen that you only get the chance to play the teams in front of you. And they've done their job. It's been brilliant, but it's been a pretty soft schedule. The teams that have challenged them, Spurs, they lost 5-1 to. They lost to Chelsea. And they're really the two big teams they've lost to since January. All right. So they haven't faced the Liverpool for a while. And I think despite it being at St. James's Park, and despite their defense being so much better, I think 13 goals against in the last 15 games, that's really impressive. I still think Liverpool, who generally rebound very well from Champions League weeks, I know you're right, they could be tired, is a quick turnaround for them. But generally speaking, history shows us this season they play pretty well in that next game. So I think I wouldn't take that. I'm going to attack that. I think Liverpool will win this by more than a goal. I think it could be a 2 or a 3-er. A bit of a reality check to Newcastle, who, are on their way 100%. Someone asked Eddie Howe at the press conference today, is this going to be the title decider, and when will it be a title decider? And he laughed. He goes, well, hopefully one day. We're not there just yet. There's still a big gulf between these two teams. Oh, yeah. So I'm going to attack it, Albert. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it'll be a Reds win. I'm jumping on the Reds bandwagon 100% right now.
Should we expect Klopp to rest players ahead of Tuesday?
He can do. Yeah. He might do, but they have the depth now. That is it really resting? They're at the City standpoint now where you see Diego Jota get a game and maybe Luis Diaz or Sadio Mane get a rest. Well, is that really a step down? I don't think it is really. There's so much depth in midfielder. Naby Keita will probably get in there. He's been very good this season when called upon. You got Ibrahim Konate coming in at centre back, or Matip might get back in there for this week. They have the depth now, I think. So they might well rest players. It'd be smart to. But listen, it's not a big drop-off, let's be honest.
Yeah, that's going to be a great atmosphere. What a great game to start off the weekend. Maybe this next game that we're getting to, not so much. This is the flip-flops and margarita derby, I think. Southampton, Crystal Palace. I'm backing Palace, draw no bet, +130. Just 2 losses in the last 7 away fixtures. I think this is a free hit, honestly. I don't think either team really cares about winning this game, and that's kind of crazy to say when you're talking about professional sports, but not much left to play for, and I do think Crystal Palace are the better team.
I'll defend you on that one. Yeah, I'm with you. I love that term, the Margarita Derby. That's exactly what it is. The two most unpredictable teams in the league this season. It could be 9-0 Palace, or it could be a draw. Have no idea, right? So I like the protection for Southampton in this one. 27 draws between them too this season, 14 and 13 respectively, 40 and 38 points. They're both safe. They don't care anymore. There's going to be a big shuffle at both clubs this summer, and that was always a plan. I think Palace has surprised us. Southampton, I think if you look at the table now and their points total, they've been a little bit disappointing. I like Hasenhüttl a lot, but at some point he's got to take the next step, and it hasn't been this season, right? So, I'm going to defend that one. It's going to be a draw. It's not going to be one that I would rush to my TV set to watch, put it that way.
Yeah. Actually, what? I'm worried about Southampton moving forward. If Hasenhüttl leaves, James Ward-Prowse is being linked to certain clubs like Newcastle, which I think that'd be a great sign.
And Liverpool too, I heard, actually.
Yeah, if those players leave, if he leaves and Hasenhüttl leaves as well, based on the way that they have been playing over the past couple of seasons, they can really be in relegation trouble come the next few years.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely. They've got to spin right. I mean, they're renowned for selling their top talent when it's at its highest peak, and that's probably where James Ward-Prowse is right now. Another free kick last week, got a couple of goals actually, both great strikes. He's incredible, right? And he's the captain. I think we discussed him before. What's the next step for him? But I hope he stays there, because to me he's a Southampton type player. But they've got to be very careful, because they could take that slippery slide down the table, and before you know it, they're in the championship once again.
Man, Alexander-Arnold and Ward-Prowse in the same team. That's deadly. Let's go to the next game. Leeds, Manchester City. This is my last bet. I think the real slip up comes here. Leeds +2, -105, pretty good odds. My reason for this is the midweek fixtures for Manchester City. They've won none of their last 4 after a midweek Champions League game. 2 losses, 2 draws, James.
I know, and I see that, but I'm going to attack this one as well, I'm afraid, Albert. I do. Listen, I know the Leeds defense under Jesse Marsch is much, much better. But against the better teams, they conceded 6 against Liverpool, 4 against United when they weren't just a deplorable outfit, right? So against the better teams with better attack, they do tend to struggle. And City, yes, I'm with you. They've struggled post-Champions League weeks, but they were so good against Real Madrid. And the fact that they are just a goal up and they conceded 3 goals is going to really, really upset Pep Guardiola and that team. So they got to put on a performance this weekend, I think. I think they're very angry. I think they're a bit of an injured animal right now, given what happened on Tuesday. And Ellen Road, listen, Ellen Road's going to become a fortress once again. It's a great place to play, but they did lose 3-0 to Aston Villa there recently.
Yeah.
All right. So it's not as if it's quite the fortress just yet. So I think City are going to come in there swashbuckling, and they know what's got to be done. They know the slip-ups could be coming, but these are must-win games. Now, every game is a cup final, as the old cliche goes. So I'm going to attack that one. I think it's going to be City emphatically at Ellen Road.
James, you just changed my mind completely. I'm still going to go with it because I called it out.
Don't trust me. You should. Don't trust me. You should definitely go back yourself, Albert.
I will back myself. One note on Calvin Phillips. He's back in the side, which is huge for Leeds. Since promotion, I found this. Leeds have conceded an average of 1.2 goals per 90 with him in the team. Without him, 2.6. So his presence in that midfield is gigantic. And now under Marsch, with some defensive structure, I think having him in there is really going to help this Leeds team. That's one of the reasons I'm also leaning towards Leeds not getting smashed. I'm not saying they're going to win the game. I just don't think they're going to get smashed. But I mean, with Manchester City, you always run the risk of losing 3-4, maybe even 5-0. That's how good they are.
Yeah, it's a valid point. I mean, Phillips is just back, right, as well. He's not at full strength just yet, but it's a valid point. I mean, we discussed it, I think, on Monday's show, Tuesday's show, how different they are when he's in the lineup and how they've missed him so much. And another guy that's going to be moving at some point. Hopefully Leeds is a big enough club to retain him. But, you know, he could be going to a United or somewhere. Absolutely. But I have to, like I said, attack that one. I'm thinking the old gut tells me City are just, this is what they do. When they have to win, they tend to win, right? And that game on Tuesday was so good to watch. But you know that the manager is furious that they allowed Real Madrid to come back into that tie. So they better put a performance on for their gaffer this weekend.
Yeah, massive games this weekend. Massive games coming up in the Champions League. It's the business end of the season. That's it for Fast Money Football on this Friday. Please follow James Sharman on Twitter at James Sharman. You can follow me at TheRealBertV. And as always, please head over to parlay.tv for more parlay content. Take care, guys.